This is Aogashima, a tiny remote volcanic island located more than 300 kilometers south of Tokyo, at the southern end of the Izu archipelago. Yet somehow it's part of Tokyo, and despite this remoteness, 170 people call this their home, making it Japan's least populated village. But why would people live here on an active volcano in the middle of nowhere? And what makes this island so special? Well, to answer these questions, we need to go back to the 1600s. In this period, resources were often limited on the main islands of Japan. So, for the few desperate and adventurous individuals, remote islands like Aogashima offered a golden opportunity. Aogashima was especially interesting though, because not only is it surrounded by waters rich in food with no competitors, it also has volcanic soil. While volcanic ash is destructive when it erupts, after some time it creates incredibly fertile soil. Soil you can grow crops like sweet potatoes and other vegetables in. So food was easily accessible and growable here. The same goes for fresh water. Unlike many of the other islands around it, Aogashima has natural springs and the topography of the island allows for easy rainwater collection. But perhaps the most unusual benefit of living here is the ability to tap into the geothermal energy the volcano produces. See, this island has natural steam vents and they were all used for basic things like heating and cooking. Obviously, the other reason for the settlement here could have been the desire for autonomy. Living remotely allowed for a level of autonomy not possible in the populated areas. History is a bit vague on this, so it could have been a mix of both. The only problem with the island was the very thing that made it attractive, the active volcano. A problem that ended up shaping its history. It's now the early 1780s, and the island is experiencing a series of smaller earthquakes and eruptions. The inhabitants didn't think much of it until in April of 1785 when 63 households were evacuated due to lava flows. The climax came a few years later though, when in 1785 a catastrophic eruption destroyed nearly all vegetation and killed roughly half of the island's 327 inhabitants. The survivors were evacuated to Hachichuchima, leaving Aogashima deserted for nearly 50 years. But people really wanted to resettle this beautiful and useful island. So in the 1790s, brave islanders made dangerous attempts to return. Brave mostly because of the journey to get there, as many of them would end up losing their boats in the rough currents and die. But then in 1817, a proper repopulation attempt began. The return was spearheaded by Jirodario Sasaki, who after 18 years of meticulous planning, courageously led an expedition back to Aogashima in 1835. That same year, a formal land survey marked the island's revival and people gradually resettled thereafter. Almost half a century later, the island reached its all-time peak population at about 754. But as time passed, the population declined. Today, only 170 people call this their home, and only 100 of them are natives of the island. The remaining 70 largely consists of public sector employees such as school staff and police, many of whom are temporarily transferred to the island to serve these duties. So the community here is quite small. This makes the school situation very unique. Since the island only has one elementary school, one junior high school, and a single high school, attended by only a handful of students, it is all housed in a single building due to the small number of students. In terms of other establishments on the island, there's one store, one post office, and 3 bars. There's no hospital, only small clinics, so for major medical emergencies, inhabitants have to be transported to larger islands or mainland Japan for treatment by helicopter. But I think it's time we discuss possibly the most interesting aspect of the island. What a great timing! This is Birdie, it's a CO2 monitor. It measures the CO2 level in here, and as soon as the CO2 levels are too high, it falls down, telling me that I need to open a window, which I will do now. And then once the fresh air is in here and the CO2 levels have decreased, it will go up again. So yeah, if you would like to get a Birdie as well, you can check it out with the link in the description and you can get 10% off as well as an extra collar. So just use the code OBF10 at checkout. Anyway, back to possibly the most interesting aspect of this island, its geology and its effects on how people's life here is so different to the rest of the world. Aogashima most striking feature is its unique double caldera structure. The entire island, approximately 3.5 kilometers in length and 2.5 kilometers in width, is essentially the rim of a massive outer volcanic crater, known as Ikenusawa. Within this larger crater, a secondary, smaller cone named Muriyama rises from the center. and this one is officially classified as a Class C active volcano by the Japan Meteorological Agency, the lowest of the 3 warning levels, but it still emits geothermal steam, a feature the inhabitants have found some ingenious use cases for. Beyond cooking stuff like potatoes or boiling eggs, they have the Furai sauna, a communal bath utilizing this natural steam for hot baths and showers, which is a really interesting way of utilizing this kind of heat for pleasure. But they also make hingya salt, made by slowly crystallizing Kuroshio seawater using this volcanic geothermal steam to dry it out. And if you'd like to try the sauna or see the island yourself, well, you would be embarking on quite the journey, as it's quite a bit more difficult than you might expect. See, the only way to reach the island is via Hachijojima, a large island 70 kilometers to the north of this island that has an airport with flights to Tokyo. From Hachijojima, travelers have 2 options, a cargo passenger ship called Kanjumaru or a helicopter service. The ship operates 1 round trip daily, except on Sundays, but here's the thing, it has an in-service rate below 50% due to rough seas caused by the Kuroshio current, combined with Aogashima's inadequate port facilities. I mean, look at the walls of the island, it's really tall. Anyway, the other option is the helicopter service, operated by Tokyo Island Shuttle. It's more reliable with an in-service rate exceeding 80%, but it carries only 9 passengers and requires reservations months in advance. This means tourists often find themselves stranded on Hachijojima waiting for favorable conditions. So, good luck. But if you manage to get there, the reward is obviously the volcanic scenery and serenity, as well as some of the world's best stargazing opportunities due to Aogashima's complete isolation from light pollution. And visiting soon might be a good idea, as the future of Aogashima is very uncertain. See, Aogashima faces the same demographic challenges that rural Japan faces, along with some other challenges unique to the island: an aging population, limited healthcare facilities, and a lack of higher education opportunities. Students who wish to attend university must move to mainland Japan, and many never return. But there's also the problem of the economy of the island. See, the island's economy depends heavily on government subsidies and the unique tourism appeal of its volcanic setting. Salt production and shushu distilling, which is the production of a spirit made from sweet potatoes, provide some income, but the irregular transportation schedules make it difficult to develop reliable commercial enterprises. There's also the risk of natural disasters. While volcanic hazards are quite low risk right now, the island faces significant tsunami risk from potential earthquakes along the Nankai Trough. So yeah, Aogashima represents one of the most remarkable examples of human adaptations and resilience in the face of nature's forces. The village exists not despite the volcano, but actually because of it. As we've discussed, the volcanic soil provides fertility, the geothermal energy offers unique opportunities, and the dramatic landscape creates an environment unlike anywhere else on Earth. The story of why people live on Aogashima is ultimately a story about the human spirit's capacity to find home in the most unlikely places. From the original settlers drawn by abundant fishing grounds to the modern residents who choose isolation over urban convenience. While this remarkable village faces an uncertain future due to demographic changes and economic challenges, it will forever stand as a testament to human resilience and the extraordinary places people call home. But lastly, let me just quickly tell you about my new premium map store, Mapped Studios. I made this store because I love maps, like I know a lot of you guys do as well, and I wanted a place where you can get archival quality maps for your walls. And I've recently added a bunch more maps to the store, and I've made a discount exclusively for you guys because I really want you to be able to get these maps, and I've also made shipping free no matter where in the world you're located. So click the link in the description and use code OBF at checkout to get your premium map for 20% off and free shipping whilst supporting the channel in the process. But that's it, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.